Hello everyone, and welcome back to Revit Snippets. Great tips you can learn in just a few minutes. This video is brought to you by RVDiplin. Over 40 ways to clean and downsize your Revit model, all in one place. Get your free copy today by using the link in this video's description. Have you ever wanted to quickly delete all the secondary design options and elements that are still on them from your Revit file? We certainly needed to do it a few times already, because usually design options that are unused is the main reason why our Revit models have become so big and slow to work with. Now, what if I tell you, you can just click one single button and make all the secondary options go away? Well, this model here has the same problem. When I go to these options now, I can see three sets, 1, 2, 3, and underneath there are lots of options. Only one of them in each set is primary. If I want to delete all the secondary ones and keep just the primary, I can either do it manually, which may take a lot of time, or I can go to my friend Dynamo, open a script for this, and run it. All the options will be removed from me immediately in one click. If I now go back to these options now, you can see only the primary option still remain. So let me show you right now how to build this script yourself to save time and effort on your Revit project. By the way, if you don't have much time and just want to run the script on your model right now, there's a link in this video description that you can use to download this Dynamo script directly. Otherwise, just follow me right now, step by step, to recreate this script yourself from scratch. By the way, if you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe now, because we do tutorials like this every single week. Okay, let's begin. I have here a very simple Revit model. Let's create now some design options so we can see how to delete them afterwards. If I now just go to the open space here, how about we draw a few simple walls like this? Make sure it's a simple type, and I will go for 4 of them like so. Now I can go to design options and make the first set like this. And then let's do a few options below, maybe 2 more. 1, 2, 3, that's good for now. We can now select the walls and add them to all of those options, like so. Now when I go to option 2, of course, I can make it bigger, this room, like this. And when I try option 3, I can make it smaller. And then for option 1, it's the same wall as before. Okay, option 1 is now the primary options, as you can see here. It says primary next to the name. So now let's see how we can use Dynamo to quickly delete option 2 and 3 and only keep the primary option in our file. That will for sure reduce the file size and make your Revit file run quicker. To begin, of course, let's go to Manage and open Dynamo from here. And now to see we are on the same page, let's go to New and make a new definition. From here, I think if you have seen some of my other tutorials, you will know what's happening now. We will set up the framework for Dynamo to read a Python script from a text file. We will then write the Python logic for removing the options, and then tell Dynamo to read it and execute it here in the Revit model. If you are new to using Python in Dynamo, not to worry, because you can go down to this video description and download this finished Dynamo script at the end, so you can just run it on your model without rebuilding anything. Secondly, I will also include in the video description a link to my previous lesson on how to get up and running with using Python in Dynamo, and that video will show you all the basic steps on how to start scripting like this. In that basic lesson, you will also see how to set up Visual Studio Code so we can use this as a better editor for writing Python scripts for Dynamo. As you can see, I have here already opened the Python script template that I have from that video. Let's assume you have gone through that basic tutorial, and now let's start deleting the secondary options right here. First thing first, let's go back to Dynamo and drop in here a Python script node. Python script from string, that's the one to use here. Make sure we do manual operation here as well. And now let's see how Dynamo can get the file we will later on write in Visual Studio Code. Let's do file path, add the node to here. And then we can do file from path to convert the text file path to a proper file object. And now we can do read text or read file to be exact. Connect the file object to there. and that should give us the text or the string from the file content. We can then connect the string to here, and then Dynamo will read that and execute it just like a Python script you would otherwise write directly in Dynamo. Let's also align them like this for a better looking script. And now we can start writing script in Python. To begin, let's define a new list. Let's call it IDs to delete. And we can start it like this. So list and then element ID. It will be the element type of items that will be put on this list. And we can do the brackets here to initiate it as an empty list. Next step, I want to collect all the design options items in the model. So we can start that by doing options as a new variable. And that should be the result of a filtered element collector. Let's try that now. We can say this collector should take place on the document object. That means the Revit model right there in the background. The document object I have already defined in this Python template on this line. So the object name is DOC. That's what I'm using here. Next step, we want to collect only the items of the type of design options. So nothing like walls, windows, or doors. We are not interested in them for now. So let's try to filter this collection. Let's do off class here. And the class should be design option in this case. So in here, under options, I should have actually 3 items, which are option 1, 2, 3 that I can see right there under option set 1. Next step, we need to iterate through these design options to find those that are not primary. So let's do here a for loop for option in options. We can then use a property of the option class that Revit has for it. That property is called isPrimary. So let's do here an if statement. If option dot isPrimary, then the option will be the primary option. In our case, that means option 1, the one we want to keep. So if option isPrimary equals to false, that means we have here the other 2 options, option 2 and 3, we have this parameter equals to false. If that's the case, then we know this option now is the one we want to delete. So let's simply just go down 1 line and append the option to the IDs to delete list. Let's do add because that's a special list. And then we can do option.id. We're doing this because the delete method that we have in the Revit API expects a list of IDs and not a list of objects. That's why I can just say here option.id and it should work. If I instead say just option like that, it's going to raise an error later on. Yeah, so let's keep this one here. Next thing, let's first check if we collect the right options to delete. So I will copy this down to here and then save the script. The location is C Revit Dynamo test.py. We can now return to Dynamo now. Let's do browse here. And luckily, I'm in the same folder already, so the file is already there for me to select test.py. Let's open this now. And then simply just run the script to see if it has collected the right element IDs. Let's run this. The first time you run this Python script node, it takes a bit longer because Dynamo has to initiate all the required elements for using Python in Revit. Anyway, that's done now, and somehow I have got back not the elements IDs I expected, but an error. Let's see. So the name design option is not defined. Okay, let's go back to the script and fix it. This is simply because I used the wrong name here. I shouldn't use the plural. Just design option should be correct, not design options the plural. As you can see, when I delete that S there, the yellow line that previously was below the text is not there anymore. So I know that's now correct. Even when I hover my mouse over the option, I can see the description. It makes sense now. It says an element that represents a design alternative. So I have got here the right name. Let's now save the Python script, go back to here, and rerun this script here in Dynamo. And there you have it. You have now 2 design options IDs. If I now try going back to here and selecting the items by IDs, let's try from manage. Maybe bring this one to here so I can see and select by ID. We can then use the same number there. Let's try the first one. So 437717. As it turns out, that's indeed a design option. When I go and select the second ID there, 437720, that is another design option. So that means we're on the right track. If you want to be extra sure that this is the right set of options to delete, you can also see their names. If I go to here and see if I can do this, let's call the watch list, which is just the empty list I have up there, and do append and do option dot name. I can then see what's in the watch list at the end, save it, back to here, run it. And yes, I have the right names I want to delete, option 2 and 3, because they are not primary design options. We can now go back to Python and start the removal process. Now, to do this, we need to delete the items, and that means editing the model, and that requires a transaction in Dynamo. Let's do it with the with statement in Python now, and say with transaction, DOC, because the transaction has to take place on the document in the background there. And let's name the transaction delete secondary design options. And now we say as tr. That simply means tr will be the transaction on this document with this name. Going down to here, I can do tr.start. That's starting the modification process. And then do doc.delete. It's a simple method that takes place on the active Revit document, and it expects a list of IDs that I also already have as IDs to delete. So once the removal is done, I can do tr.commit to actually apply the result to the model. We can now save this, go back to Dynamo, and then click run. Nothing seems to happen yet, but if you go back to this option now, option 2 and 3 is now gone. We only have now left the option 1, which is the primary option we want to keep, so everything works here. If I even try to do a few more, I can go to the main model first, and then maybe make a few more sets like that. And for each set, let's make a new few options. Same here, close them down. Go back to here, save the script so I can reuse it. We can call this one delete secondary design options. And save it there. Close it down, open it back up, and now we can run it. It has completed the thing, and now if I go to the result list, you can see the long list of these options that it has deleted. To double check, let's go back to options here. And certainly enough, we have here options 1 for each set. They remain here because they are primary options. All the other secondary ones are now gone. Okay, if you have lots of options and elements on those options, just by doing this will help you greatly reduce the file size of your Revit model. Anyway, sometimes that's not enough because maybe your model has other things that needs to be cleaned up to really bring down the file size and to really make it responsive again. In that case, removing secondary options may not be enough. Instead, you should try some other Revit plugins that clean up more things, such as RVDiplin. If I now go to add-ins and go to RVDiplin, I can launch it from here, from the RV Boost panel. This is simply a collection of all the best and latest ways to really clean up your Revit model and make it light, fast, and easy to share again. If you go down to here, it has the same option we just did in Dynamo, which is deleting non-primary design options. But apart from that, it does a lot more. For example, it helps you to delete unused scope boxes, unplaced rooms, area spaces, unused separation lines for those, removing group definitions, and more over here. If I go to the next tab, it has other ways to clean up views as well. For example, removing views not on sheets or removing sheets that don't have any views. You can also remove 2D items that are hidden in views because they are otherwise not visible anywhere else. And then you can remove maybe temporary views, orphan tags, orphan dimensions, unused line patterns, and styles and fill patterns too. If you want to also clean up your Revit links and CAD links, you can go to the next tab and choose what happens to them. For example, removing CAD imports, removing CAD links, deleting point clouds, and so on. So let's give it a go to see if it does the same thing we have done there in Dynamo. When I go back to here, I can undo what Dynamo did. Delete secondary options, undo this. Going back to here, I can see the options are back. So now let's go back to RVDiplin. Do that and much more. Let's run this. Okay, here we go. The process is complete. As you can see, apart from the design options we wanted to remove, which are here, RVDiplin also found and deleted other obsolete items in the model for us. For example, area boundaries that are not in use, or obsolete room separation lines, obsolete fill pattern elements. And if I keep scrolling down, I can see some unused line patterns have been removed for me too. And of course, some CAD files I don't want to have in the model anymore. This one is now gone. And then of course, the views that are not on sheets, they have also been cleaned up for me, all in one single click. You can then of course export the result here to a CSV or to an Excel file for further checking if you need to. This plugin, by the way, is free to try, so if you want to give it a go, make sure to go down to the video description and use the link there to get your free copy today. Otherwise, if you just want to clean up the secondary design options, try the Dynamo script, either do it yourself or download it from the video description. Hopefully, this will help you to delete lots and lots of obsolete model items that are still on your secondary design options to really bring down the file size of your Revit model. For now, enjoy learning Revit with RV Boost, and I'll see you in the next lesson.